Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Innocent Life. It is now Thursday, and I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk about. I woke up quite early this morning. It's currently 4:30 in the morning, and just checking up on the crop situation here. As you can see, some of our crops are coming in quite nicely. I've also gone ahead and I've harvested some other stuff, like the asparagus. It's now regrowing and I should be able to get another harvest out of it. I also harvested my potatoes and my turnips, and I went and bought more so I could get more profit off of them. And if I bring up my stats menu, I now have just over $1,500. So with that money, what I would like to do is go to the supermarket and buy some of the tools that are available. The reason I woke up early this morning, despite the fact that I didn't really have any watering to do, is because I would like to go and visit Dr. Hope before he gets into his laboratory. There is an event that I should be able to trigger, and that's going to help put a couple of skill points into our humanity meter. But the timing is fairly delicate. It has to be on a day that's not Sunday, because Sunday is your checkup day, and it has to be before 10 a.m. Now, because the game's clock moves rather quickly, I wanted to make sure that we got that done right away. Now, hopefully, in my playing off screen, I haven't accidentally talked to him and triggered this before. I don't think I have, but sometimes there is a rather large gap in between when I play this game and, you know, things get forgotten. Either way, we can talk to him anyhow, even if we don't get anything out of it. Here he is over here eating. Oh, hello, Robo. Aren't you here early? If you're here before your maintenance day, does that mean that you have a lot of free time? Or did you just want to see me? Yeah, I just came to see how you were doing. I see. So you've learned what it's like to miss someone. And believe it or not, that is the event, so to speak, because there's no cutscenes or anything in this game, of course. So after talking to Dr. Hope and getting that little bit of dialogue, at the end of the day, once we go to bed, we should get a stat increase. Let's talk to Vita and see how she's doing. Good morning, Master Robo. Aren't flowers nice? If you take good care of them, they'll bloom beautifully. Yes, flowers are nice. However, I'm not growing any at the moment. I'm focusing on our crops. Now, all I really have to do is kill about an hour of time until the supermarket opens, and then we can go in and look at some of our tools. Here's Sharon. Good morning, Robo. Don't you just love taking a stroll in the morning? Probably not as much as you do. I don't know that it's really worth talking to any of the NPCs because I think they all just pretty much say the same thing. Is the town hall not letting people in yet? Don't they know that citizens like me come here early every morning? So, Galleon pretty much said what he said last time we talked to him, just a slight, variation on what it was that he said. Which is kind of a shame, for a game that has so many different NPCs. I don't think that their dialogue is really all that different. Morning, Robo. Just a little more and I'll be able to beat Mr. Bear's record. Ah, Mr. Bear is Mr. Max. He's so big. He kind of looks like a bear, right? I guess you're not wrong, Marcia, but you probably shouldn't, say that to his face. He probably wouldn't appreciate that very much. I like Marcia. She's really spunky and, kind of cute and funny. So now that the afternoon bell has rang, we can go back to Shop a Million. And let's have a look at some of these tool prices. The first thing I'm going to get is a hammer. That's sort of the priority here, and it is $650. We're going to be using this to crush small stones and boulders. We also have the axe for $480 to cut lumber with. And then finally we have the sickle to get rid of weeds. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about the sickle right now because I can just move stuff around with my hands if I really need to. But getting the axe and the hammer would both be really, really nice to kind of get out of the way. So let's take this up to the counter and pay for it. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and we're not going to have much money left. However, we still do have a lot of crops growing. We've got some more stuff on the way that we're going to be able to harvest, and that is still going to leave us with a chunk of money for anything else that we might want to buy. If we want to buy more seeds or something like that, then we can do it because we still have a little bit of cash left in our pocket. The reason I wanted to buy the hammer is because we are going to be getting access to a mining area sometime soon. And it's also beneficial in clearing out our farm of rocks and boulders. And the same with the axe, it's just good to get rid of lumber on your farm. Especially once things start moving along and we want to get more farming space. That space isn't going to be much use to us if it's all taken up by pieces of wood and rocks and whatnot. So now that we've purchased those, I guess we should go back to the farm and we should try and use them and see if they work properly. Hopefully they do. I don't see why they wouldn't. We still have lots of time left in the day and lots of stamina because I didn't really have to do any watering. And I wonder if they... No. They didn't go right into my inventory. I think they've gone into the item box. So I'll have to make sure to take those out. However, my inventory is probably getting pretty full. So I'm going to take the strange moss out and I'm going to store that. A note about the strange moss that I wanted to make when I had earlier remarked that I didn't understand where that number 9 came from. It means that each piece of moss that you pick up one piece of moss, but it is actually good for 9 squares. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together and I realized that that's what they meant. I felt like a bit of a fool because now it seems obvious looking at it now, but if you were still confused about it or you were like me and you weren't too sure what it meant, that's what it means. So in reality, you know, if you pick up 5 pieces of strange moss, you actually have 45 pieces of moss. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take out the hammer. And let's take out the axe. We've got a nice little boulder here that we can test this on immediately. And then as you can see, when you break a rock, you'll get a stone in return. Now, stone and lumber don't do anything in this game, to my knowledge. Unlike previous Harvest Moon games where you collect stone and lumber to build buildings and things like that and use it for upgrades, I don't think you can really use it for anything in this game. So the only thing that you can really do is put it into the shipping bin and ship it for a tiny bit of profit. You're not going to get much money off of this, and it is disappointing because stone and lumber is significantly less important than it is in previous games, but it is just something additional to do to clear off, you know, all of this space to ship a couple of things and get a little bit of extra cash flow going on. You can't put stone into your inventory, so you have to carry the stone one by one and put it into the shipping box one by one. And I don't believe you could put it into the basket. No, you can't. So that is going to be a bit of a downer in terms of trying to harvest all that stuff or gather all that stuff effectively. There is not really any sort of effective way to do it. You could just leave it out here, but it's still in the way. So unfortunately, you're going to have to carry each piece one by one individually and place it into the box individually. And I do believe it works that way for wood as well. So just a couple of notes about those tools for anybody who is curious. We now have those, and we're going to be putting those to good use and making them work for us. And then finally, the last thing that I want to talk about is the stats screen. We haven't really looked at this in any sort of great detail yet, but as you can see, our stats are doing pretty well, especially our intelligence and our cooking. I've been cooking every single day, which puts those points up. We had a bit of intelligence to start with. I do believe that that was boosted from the beginning, but as you can see, everything else has gone up: challenge, love, creativity, and humor. Some more than others, but we are slowly working towards making Robo more human. And then if we switch it over to tool stats, we're able to see some more in-depth detail about our tools, how much experience we've learned so far, and how much experience we need to each level in order to level up our tools. So this will give you a good idea of where you're at in terms of your tools. If you're wondering, you can look at this at any time by going to the Robo's face here and then just toggling between his stats and your tool stats. If you go down to the calculator, you can see all sorts of different stats for your animals, which we don't have yet. For crops, you can see how many you've shipped, how much you've gotten for each crop, and then if you want to, you can also toggle it and you can see how much you've made off of your crops in total. So in total so far, I've shipped $840 worth of turnips, $250 worth of potatoes, $960 worth of asparagus. So this will give you a good idea about what crops are the most profitable and where you feel you should be spending your money. Same with flowers. They've got their own screen here, but we haven't grown any, so we don't have any data. Same with gathered and foraged items. And then you also have your cooking. So how many of the recipes you've unlocked, how many different ones you've actually made, and how many times you've made them. So as you can see here, there is a extensive number of recipes, and these will slowly be unlocked as we watch the cooking channel each and every single week. So we've sort of started to fill this out, but we've got many more recipes to go. I hadn't had a chance to really look at the stats yet, but I thought it was important to sort of go through them a little bit because the stats in this game are pretty in-depth. When you look at things like Robo's human level and you look at things like your stats for your tools and things like that, it can get pretty complicated and you may or may not be paying attention to it, but it is important to pay attention because the game is relatively good on tracking all that stuff for you. So when I wake up tomorrow, it'll be Friday. What I'll probably do is just pass a couple more days, and then when we get to Sunday, I'll come back and record as we're going to go and check in with Dr. Hope for our next check-in and our next upgrade. I want to thank you all so very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I will be seeing you next time.